Thank you for joining us. Thank you for finding us this morning and choosing to be with us. Today we are blessed to have Merritt Holloway and Kristen Barnes as our musical inspiration today. So I'd like to introduce Merritt and Kristen for our opening song.
Good morning. Quite an appropriate song for the times. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. Take a little time out of your busy day to give encouragement to someone who's lost their way. Or would I be talking to a stone if I asked you to share a problem that's not your own? We can change things if we start giving. Why don't you reach out and touch somebody's hand? Make this world a better place if you can. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.
Beautiful. What a wonderful way to start our morning after the turbulence of this past week. So now it is time for our spiritual mind treatment, where I offer the truth of our being. So if you settle in and go within, if you like, you can close your eyes or not. There is only one Spirit, one love, one God, one creative intelligence, one field of pure potentiality, waiting to express itself in the next infinite form and variety. I know that this creative intelligence is at play right here and right now. I know it expresses itself through its creations as its creations. I know that every single thing on this planet, and the planet itself, the universe that we spin through, I know that all of this is an idea in the mind of God. I know this infinite intelligence, this creative intelligence, is that vibration of love. I know that it is the vibration of peace. I know that it is the vibration of abundance, for everything in God's being is perfectly placed, perfectly timed, perfectly supported. All needs are always met. I know this infinite creative intelligence is present right here and right now as me, as you. And so I know that each one of us is that expression of love, of peace, of abundance. And together we are in unity. We are whole. We are complete. And so as we come together for this Sunday celebration, for this time of remembering the truth of our being, I know that these events of this past week are a revealing. While it looks tumultuous and chaotic and there is pain and grief surfacing, I know that this revealing is an opportunity for deep healing. For it has to be revealed to be healed. And so I know that that healing is taking place. It is taking place individually, collectively, in the hearts of each person, in the hearts of the nation. And I know that this spreads around the world, that all needs are always met, that there is abundance on this planet, that everyone is stepping into a new and greater expression of themselves by reaching out, by touching someone's hand. And so I'm so grateful for this time together. I'm grateful for our musicians here. I'm grateful for Reverend Dr. Carol Carnes, who is here to bless us with her inspirational message. I'm grateful for our board members. I'm grateful for our technicians, Parisi here on site, and everyone who brings this center to life. I know that we all come together for that goal of unity, that goal of a world that works for everyone. And for this goal, I am truly grateful to be a part of that. I'm grateful that each and every one of you have joined together to be a part of that. And it's in this gratitude that brings me joy that I release this word into the law of mind, into that creative intelligence that already knows yes, already is unfolding perfectly, that is supporting each and every one of us, for that is the law of being. And so in this release, I let it go, I let it be. And together we anchor this by saying, and so it is. And as we breathe into that, I'd like to reintroduce Merritt and Kristen.
Here is to reaching for that better, greater part of ourselves. Rolling river God, little stones are smooth, only once the water passes through. And so I am a stone, rough and I'm grainy still, just trying to reconcile this river's chill. But when I close my eyes and feel you rushing by, I know that time brings change, and change takes time. But when the sunset comes, my prayer might be this one, that you might pick me up and notice that I am just a little smoother in your hands. Yes, I am just a little smoother in your hands. Sometimes raging wild, sometimes swollen high. Oh, never have I known this is where I long to stay. Oh, to feel the roughest edges wash away. But when I close my eyes and feel you rushing by, I know that time brings change, and change takes time. But when the sunset comes, my prayer might be this one, that you might pick me up and notice that I am. That you might pick me up and notice that I am just a little smoother in your hands. Little stones are smooth only once the water passes through.
Bravo. Thank you, Kristen and Meredith. That was beautiful. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's lovely to be with you here today. I scarcely know where to begin. There's so much to talk about and so many important issues in the human experience right now. The theme for my talk is, when you deconstruct a paradigm, it's painful and messy. But there's always some of us who have a lot of hope, and we have a lot of optimism, and thank God for this teaching, because it has underscored my natural optimism and given me a rationale for why I think the way I think and why I believe in humanity. I downloaded the words to Bob Dylan's song, "Blowin' in the Wind," today, because when I was a teenager, a bunch of us kids, black and white and brown, would pile into somebody's 52 Chevy, and we'd cruise down Hollywood Boulevard or Colorado and Pasadena, and we'd sing this song at the top of our lungs. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they forever are banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many times must one man have, how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. We sang that at the top of our lungs because we were convinced that in our lifetime we would see an end to racism, poverty, hunger, sexism, all of the emotional and physical plagues of our time, we would see an end to it. Well, I'm still here. Not all of those kids are. And I am convinced that we are at the turning point. And I want to talk today about the different factors that contributed to that and why we have a right to think above the fray, why we have a right to be optimistic, hopeful. I'll share a story I shared a while back, but it's a good one and it's applicable to what I want to address today about this teaching and perspective. Right before the pandemic hit, I attended a different spiritual service, and I was impressed with a little thing they did every Sunday. Is they would ask people to come up and share what was heavy on their heart, what had caused them grief that week or sadness. And a few people shared things, loss. But this one man got up and he said, "I'm really sad because my wife and I had to sell our boat. And we've had that boat for 35 years, and it's taken us places we never would have been, and we met people we never would have met, and we have the most wonderful memories. But it's just time. We can't keep it up anymore. I'm very, very sad. I'm grieving." And then a little later in the service, they asked people to come up and share what lifted them that week, what elevated their perception, what caused them some happiness or some moments of gladness. And that same man got up and said, "I'm happy because my wife and I sold our boat." I thought, my gosh, that was a profound teaching right there. I could have gone home. Double vision. Now, here's what happens. One of those points of view will take precedence. That's the nature of the mind. One of those points of view was very local, very physical, very emotional, and valid. It's sad to let things go. When you deconstruct a paradigm, it's painful. The other point of view was more spiritual, more non-local, more visionary, more future-oriented. It comes from the mind of the imagination that can see beyond the current experience. So I know that gentleman would necessarily have moved in that direction because he was already going there. He was already in that direction. You see, this is not an either-or world. This is a both-and world. And even though it feels like it's either-or because we do live in pairs of opposites, we forget the space between. We forget the many ramifications and many variations on themes of experience. It is a both-and world, and here's the interesting thing about that double vision I'm speaking of. We can use it to override our own fear. That non-local point of view, that spiritual point of view, that new thought point of view, it's not happy talk. It's a very serious characteristic of the mind that is meant for us to move ourselves forward in times of great challenge. And it doesn't deny the challenge. It says we are greater than this. As former President Obama said the other day, we're better than this, and we need to be better than this. So it's a way of saying we don't need to wait until we have released all the negativity to start the process of forward movement. We can override our own fears and our patterns of negativity. You can talk to your own brain. I heard Gene Houston say that recently. I thought, well, that's really something. I never thought about that. That your brain is an organ of disseminating information, and you can talk to it and tell it what to disseminate. Tell it what you really believe. Override its habitual tendency to rehash old thoughts. That's a beautiful thing to think about. That's what spiritual mind treatment is, by the way. For those of you who are new to this teaching, spiritual mind treatment, I call it scientific prayer. I call it not affirmative prayer, but it's more than that. I call it a beautiful spiritual technology designed to take the local thought into the non-local and therefore lift up the creative mind that acts as cause to our experience. It's very, very beautiful. So we have these two very distinct uses of consciousness. We have a local perception, looking out and making observations and naming things, thinking of what is here and now in front of us, and it's a part of our life that we must do. And that's naming things and accounting for things. But we also have this non-local awareness, which is in that field of imagination. And just like anyone, under terrible circumstances, can imagine a completely different experience, we are equipped to do that. Now, are we ready to do it right now? What can we imagine for the human race? Here's what I know. What's happening is happening to us, all of us. If one person isn't free, none of us are free. There's a thing going around now that is quite troublesome to me. People are saying all white people are racist, they just don't know it. That is not true. All black people are not racist. They're not all anything. We're not all anything. We are human beings. This is an us experience. And yes, you figure out pretty young, and sometimes through very painful experiences, that you're better off being light-skinned in this culture, but not better than someone whose skin is darker. It's like when I was a little girl, it didn't take me too long to figure out boys have more privileges. They have more opportunities. They have more power. They have more respect. It's the same thing. It would have been better to be a boy. Not that I wanted to be, because I didn't. But the same thing happens to little kids and race. Now, the roots of racism are so embedded, no one knows where they started. And you know why we don't know where they started? Because they don't make sense. They are senseless, irrational, and perpetuated by people who have some axe to grind, and usually it's fear-based. So I want to be really clear about this. This is not something we're going to do for someone else. We have to clean up human consciousness. We have to bring love in again. And I'm talking about the kind of love that all spiritual teachers have advocated. It's just a love of being alive, a love of diversity, looking at nature and seeing how beautiful it is and how everything in it is beautiful, and that's all kinds of people. That's what I think is blowing in the wind right now and causing feathers to get ruffled. But they need to be ruffled. So remember that old saying, think globally, act locally, or act locally and think globally? It's still good advice, but here's a little twist on it. Think spiritually and act consciously. To think spiritually is to think from wholeness, from the whole to the part, not from the part to the whole. It is to think of everything as an expression of something ineffable, something divine, something beyond our comprehension, but yet is here and present, and we can feel it as our own heart beating, as our own aliveness. Call it God if you want to. We are all expressions of this universal presence. They sent 2 astronauts out into space. Did you see the launch? Anybody? I'm very moved by that sort of thing. Because to me, that's another aspect of human nature, which is to overcome physical challenges like gravity, to explore the universe, and to do it in harmony with business. It was a business venture, and it was in harmony with NASA. It was a perfect new kind of relationship. Very moving. Some of the things that human beings do are just spectacular. And then there's this emotional morass that's been going on as long as I can remember and before I was born, and nobody knows why. So the other day I postulated my own, and I did this with my tongue in my cheek, on Facebook, that maybe aliens came and they were white, and that real earth beings are people of color, and somehow it got started then. I know that's silly, but you would have thought I had said something so horrible. I had been castigated, vilified, threatened, labeled, talked about. Colleagues have been defaming my character. I haven't responded because I'm just aghast. No one knows why. And that's the point. And to keep pointing fingers at people and saying, you're a racist, is not going to help. What's going to help is when we decide this is a we situation. This has been happening to us forever, and we were all touched by it. I'm going to tell you a little story I wasn't going to tell, but when I was about 7, we were temporarily living in Kansas with my grandmother, and while my parents bought a house and did some stuff. And my uncles were just home from World War II. They had been in the South Pacific in combat. They were the most lovely guys. I just really adored them. Uncle Les and Uncle Jim. They were sweet men. Well, my mother's house, where she grew up, where we were, they were poor people. Not dirt poor, but kind of poor. And they lived in this sweet little neighborhood of little houses. And across the street, the Caldwells lived. The Caldwells were an African-American family that had kids, and my mother grew up with them, and they were all friends, and they were friends as adults. And my sister and I would go over there, and Mrs. Caldwell would give us bushels of corn to take home because she had a corn patch. Okay, so I had a lemonade stand. I'm 7, right? What do I know? I had 1 cup. So people would come and give me a nickel, and I'd fill it up, and they'd drink it, and they'd leave the cup. That was, for me, I thought that was fine. So here comes one of the Caldwell girls. And my Uncle Les, who I adored and who was a sweet man, came running over to me and whispered in my ear, and he kind of did it in a jokey way, like, this is funny. He said, let her take the cup. I can hardly tell you this without. That did something to me that has never been undone. That was a stain on my soul because I didn't see why. He couldn't answer me. It would not compute in my mind. Now, that wasn't the only thing that ever happened to me around race where I was hurt. Many, many times. So what I'm saying is, and I want to keep saying this is us. It's not us and them. It's not their problem. This is our creation. We don't have to know how it started. We have to stop it. And we have to stop it. Oh, there's so many ways to do it. It's not a political thing. It's a human experience. Okay, so what will it take? Well, thank you for tolerating that. I had just felt it on my heart. When Ronald Reagan was president, he said something so he's an Aquarian like me, so no wonder it was outlandish. He said, the only way human beings are ever going to get together as one people is if we have an alien invasion. We've had an alien invasion. It's called the coronavirus. Yep. What if we saw this as our creation? Please do not think we ever trivialize the loss of life. It is a part of life, but we're not trivializing it. I see people who died in the coronavirus pandemic as fallen soldiers. I have nothing but respect and love for those folks. But there is a bigger thing happening. And if we thought, and we used to say it would take an alien invasion to get humans to see our oneness and our planet as a home, this is starting to happen. Have you noticed your observation of nature since you've been sheltered in place? How clear the skies are. You know, Beijing is the most polluted city in the world next to Delhi. They're both clear. You can see the Himalayas for the first time in India from the ground. Rivers are running clean. The animals are having a heyday coming out of their hiding places and strolling down the streets. Herds of elk running in the streets of Calgary. It's wild, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful for us to see, number one, how much we have affected nature and how quickly she can restore herself if we behave ourselves. That's a great thing to know. That's a paradigm that's coming unraveled, and it's a little bit painful because we're not sure yet how to interact and keep our precious economy going. That's another thing that paradigm is coming undone. So it's all moving and changing. Now, why is it? Well, think about it in terms of new thought. I've been in this for 40 years. For 40 years, we have been saying transformation is coming. There's a great awakening taking place. We have been affirming that human beings have awakened to their spiritual wholeness. We have been affirming that we understand and feel and experience, enjoy our oneness. We have been affirming that there's enough of everything for everybody. We have been affirming peace and plenty and prosperity for all people. And we have been saying we create a world that works for everyone. Is it possible that's coming true? Is it possible, and I've said this before, you've probably heard me say this before if you've heard me speak, that those affirmations, that belief, and just like blowing in the wind, I'm convinced, and so are a lot of other people, is what we would call the light underneath the subterranean level of the dark, which is our shadow. And the light has pushed up the shadow, and that's what you see right now everywhere. The economy, the race relations, sexism, homophobia, all of the things, the hunger, the starving, that's our shadow up for us to see as clearly as we can look out and see the blue sky for the first time in some cases. Just what we've created. And there's nobody else to blame. And there's no reason to blame, but there's something to claim, and that's our power. Our power to set things right. And of course, it always begins with each one of us individually. Why is it happening now? Well, I think we had to have the internet. I think the internet had to be invented and up and running for us to have this international awareness of each other, which we do have now, and all of the other technology that allows us to see what's going on in countries across the ocean. We had to have ways, and I'm not a great big fan of Facebook, but I love the videos people put up of animals. We are seeing animals in a new way as very human-like. They have relationships, they love each other, they care for each other. I saw this one the other day of a great big bear walking, and he looked over and he saw one of those orange cones lying on his side, and that big 800-pound being went over and set it upright and then walked on. Now, you can't tell me that animals are dumb. What is going to come from this? Probably less meat eating, which is one of the things that is destroying the environment, the way meat is raised. So, yes, people get up in arms, but it's my work. You'll find new work. There'll be new things to do. We have to stay open to new ways to do everything. So, our non-local realizations of our oneness has brought up this shadow, and it is the light that is pushing it up. So we hang on to the light. We see clearly now the error of our ways, and so we have to override our own fears. We have to override our sense that it's too hard, it's too much, it's too big, it's not mine. It is. It's all of ours. And so we use this beautiful teaching as Ernest Holmes taught. Oh, that's another thing, by the way. I'm just going to throw this out because why not? Ernest Holmes never wanted this teaching to be in a church. He said it's the wrong container for this teaching. We need to be more secular and more out there. Well, look what's happened. And you know what else he said? If church becomes more important than the teaching, you will lose the teaching. And you start being marketers and fundraisers, and it's a heavy burden if you're a minister. Put bums in seats. That's all you're thinking about all the time. How can I blah, 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 raise money? Now we're all live streaming. Every church in New Thought is live streaming just about. And it's all about the teaching, because when you're talking to people, it's not about having cookies and coffee. There will always be a sense of a way for us to get together in community, always. I'm just saying, I see this as another sign that the old vision is actually coming out, is actually going to make itself manifest. So I'm willing to be a little controversial. I'm willing to stand up for the higher idea, and I hope you are too. And so I'm going to do a treatment now for us. And spiritual mind treatment has no purpose other than to lift our mind out of the local into the non-local. And that's why we start with non-local ideas such as one mind, one power, one consciousness, one pervasive presence, one divine loving energy saturating itself as the universe, immersing itself as every form in the universe, expressing itself by means of every form, being all sentient life. This power, this presence is real. It is the source of our mind. It is the source of our body. It is the source of our individuality, for it is personifying itself as you, as me. And it gives itself unstintingly, constantly becoming what we do with it. We can never be separate from that power. We are using it all the time. And by means of that, there's no limit to what we can do. There's no limit to what we can do. There's no limit to what we can do. There's no yesterday that's stronger than today. There's no paradigm we cannot deconstruct. Truth always wins. And the truth is we are one. We are equals in every way. We have the same potential for love, every single sentient being, including bears and animals and insects. Everybody has a potential for love, for joy, for reproduction, for getting together, for being alive, because we are all God, bringing it forth. So what I know today is that this is the beginning of a new era on planet Earth for human life, that despite the pain that this deconstruction may cause, we are greater than it, and we are in charge of it, and what we say is so must be so. So I say right now, this planet Earth is a paradise as it was intended to be. It is inhabited by joyful, loving people who absolutely adore each other, who respect each other, who give each other the right to be different and diverse. We are a people whose time has come. And so I accept my place in it. I ask you to do the same and say, yes, I am greater than my past. I step out of it. I let it go. I welcome the new with open arms, open mind, open heart. I believe the answer is blowing in the wind. And so with gratitude for this place, this opportunity to share ideas, we let the morning come to a little resting place, and we go about our day with a happy heart, with ideas, attracting new people, doing whatever it takes to put us in accord with the vision that we both all agree. Time has come. In gratitude, we let it be. And we just anchor this all together by just saying, and so it is. Thank you. Now the wonderful Kristen Barnes and Merritt.
I sing this song in the both and, in my grief and my hope that I'm struggling with right now. I'd gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet, to share with you the last bite of bread I have to eat. I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge whisper love so loudly, every heart would understand that love and only love can join the tribes of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? When we come together, it's our finest hour. We can do anything if we keep believing in the power. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Oh, love can build a bridge. Oh, between your heart and mine, yeah. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? 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 It's time, people.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Yes, I agree. It is time. And thank you, Reverend Dr. Carol. She's behind me, but yeah, beautiful message. She had Kristen and I in tears with the opening, just the Bob Dylan thing. So it is now time for our conscious giving. Thank you for all your generous contributions that have been continuing to come into the center during this time. Again, just a reminder, you can give your offerings, your tithes, your gifts to the center either via our webpage, and the links there are P.O. Box. You can mail it in to P.O. Box 617. Our zip code here is 93302. Just thank you for continuing to give. And for the few of us that are here in the sanctuary this morning, there is a love offering basket, and that will be here going forward, I think, is what we're going to be doing. We will more during the announcements. So I would like to, yes, the thing is coming up on your screen, our conscious giving statement. If you would join me in saying this with your hand on heart, your contribution. Divine love blesses this gift. It is circulated with love and is returned to me pressed down and overflowing. I am a happy giver and a grateful receiver. Our center is blessed, and so it is. Kristen?
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed.
Just resting in that gratitude. So I have a few announcements this morning. The first announcement is this week, the board, the practitioners, and Reverend Gregory will be meeting to talk about the guidelines and how we are going to gently reopen the center for the congregants. We will be continuing to stream online, as we have been doing since Dr. Carroll set this up. So thank you for getting that in line before we even needed it. It's just so seamless how Spirit works. So we will be talking about that, and more information will be coming out in bulletins probably early next week. Our annual meeting has a date to confirm our new board members. That date is July 12th. It will be at noon. And again, we will have it, I believe, in some live online mix, and that will be revealed. The second Sunday of every month, we have our community meeting. We invite you to join us to talk about just what's going on at the center. It's an opportunity to share with Reverend Gregory, with the board, what's on your heart in our community. And every Monday at 6, we also have a community meeting. It's spiritual community. It's less business, more remembering the truth of our being. We will be doing a little bit of talk about the talk, something else that Dr. Carroll brought with her when she first started here as our minister. So we will be talking about her talk, just talking about what's going on, checking in. That's 6 o'clock on Zoom, and there is a link that goes out. Just again, I want to thank everybody to continue to donate either via PayPal, credit cards, checks. We appreciate all of your contributions. We also do have our roof sponsorship going on, so if you feel moved to share some of your abundance to help replace the roof before we really need it, that is also gratefully accepted. Amazon Smile is another way you can give to your center, contributing to it financially, keeping everything going here. And that is just a very simple sign up through the Amazon Smile thing. And I believe there's information in the e-bulletin on that as well. If you need anything as we are sheltering in place, as we continue to stay away from our center physically, you can reach out and text Teresa at 661-497-2222, or you can contact the center via email at CSL Bakersfield. I don't have it, the rest of it. I think it's a Gmail. Ask Teresa, she'll know. You are always invited to reach out for prayer, for support to Ann and I as your Bakersfield practitioners. We are happy to see you, meet with you, pray with you. So I believe our contact information is also in e-bulletins and or on the website. Did I get everything? I think I did. I jump around on the page as it makes sense to me. So with that, I want to thank you again for joining us today. Thank you if we were having techie difficulties for hanging in there, and if you're watching this on the replay, it's all right now. So whenever you're watching it, it is right, divine, perfect timing, and everyone is right where we're supposed to be. And I'm grateful for that. Thank you, and we will be closing this celebration with, are we doing the peace song this morning? All right.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it began with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, united all are we. with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my solemn vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it began with me.
Beautiful. As Jean Houston said, be not afraid, you were born for this time. So let's go out this week and represent the teaching, our heart. Let's represent love. Let's multiply it. Let's give it away and allow our life to be a representation of our true self. Have a wonderful week. So it is.